When this story developed at Tennessee this past week, I never thought we'd get to where we are as we're here on Monday, but it moved quickly. And Nico Iamaleava out of Tennessee.
Well, I'm surprised it happened this quickly, too.
Me too.
A couple of things. We said it would be nice if Heupel had a good enough option to tell Nico, take a hike, kick rocks.
I don't think he does, Lance.
Yeah, well,
but you know what he did.
Yeah.
And I hate him for this because I don't want to like Tennessee as much as I like them today, but I love what he did. I love what he did right here.
You just wonder how much of this goes on behind the scenes, and a lot of it has to.
Has to.
And what's surprising and how this gets out, there is a side to the coin of, man, who would put this out? If you are part of the team internally, do you really want to cause this chaos? Now, I'm on the other side of it. Like, if you had a deal in place, if you're Nico, you can negotiate in good faith at the right time, but obviously something went off the rails. I wonder if we'll ever know the true story.
So you're asking who leaked it to Pete Nakos?
Well, not only first of all, yeah, who leaked it, but why would you leak it? Why would you not keep this stuff internal?
I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Heupel leaked it.
Yeah, maybe
because I think Josh Heupel probably knew we're already overpaying for this guy. I mean, that's the thing that
I believe that.
I think everybody believes that. Like it's so weird, the sphere of Tennessee fans I have in my life, but I talked to several of them over the weekend and they all agreed. They were like, I got no problem with this. Now, it's easy to say that in April.
Right.
When you're playing Syracuse in
go back
August.
UNLV. We were, I mean, that kid was getting destroyed at UNLV.
Right. Yeah, but to your point, is he even worth $2.2 million?
Think so. I was talking to a Tennessee fan yesterday. A friend of mine's a Tennessee fan yesterday, and he was like, I was already kind of frustrated with how much we're getting out of him already for what we're paying him. He goes, we're paying him like $1.5 million, $2 million. And he is average at best. Yeah. And this is a diehard
Tennessee you guys were
fan.
saying, I mean, an elite quarterback's about 320 plus every Saturday. He averaged 200 yards, dead on 200 yards per game.
Well, we did it on Friday. We ran through the contenders in the SEC and even the unknowns in Tuscaloosa and in Auburn. We didn't think any of them would trade their situation for Nico.
No, a lot wouldn't. Look, there's a thin line between love and hate. You've heard that before, right?
Oh, yeah.
And, I think this is a great example of it because it seemed like, a week ago tomorrow, we had Clay Travis on the show, and he was talking about Nico in some circles projected as a top 5 guy if he does. Yeah. The sky's the limit for Tennessee. So I think there were Tennessee fans that started to think we might have an elite quarterback here. But I think you go from that to you want the guy to completely fail wherever he goes.
Yeah, now.
And on the other side, Nico's just all about, well, hell, they didn't want me. I'm going to go out and prove what I can actually do now.
That's why I think Heupel might have been the leak, or at least people around Heupel, because I think Heupel probably knew we're paying him all we're going to pay him. And if they're shaking us down for more money, we're not going to cave to it. We can't. Yeah. And I think Heupel, or somebody around Heupel, probably with Heupel's instructions, thought, this is going to go bad at the end. We're going to control the narrative. Because he's got to be smart enough to know if the shakedown goes public and they don't cave, Tennessee fans are going to rally behind Josh Heupel in this. And Heupel's not an idiot.
Well, and he had to know the number because I brought it up. If you've got a number in your head and you know that Nico is not worth that, then that's when you tell him to kick rocks. He must have known the entire time, if in fact he was the guy that leaked it. Like, Nico's camp wants this, and we're not even close to that number.
Okay, Josh Pate's going to join us in less than an hour to start hour number 2. Josh Pate said last night on his football show that the Nico camp were working to renegotiating and threatening a holdout before the playoff game at Ohio State last year. That's when it all started. Back in December, before the playoff games, they were threatening holding out of the playoff game in Columbus as the starting quarterback, trying to rework the deal. That's when the new deal started to rework. And for those that don't remember, Tennessee was the first school to publicly agree to a deal with a high school recruit to induce him to come to school with an NIL deal. It was an $8 million 4-year deal, paying him $2 million a year, basically. And they caught some NCAA shrapnel and took them to court. The NCAA, Tennessee took the NCAA to court and said, you can't enforce this. we can do this, and they won that court battle.
Who was that player, Jim?
That was Nico.
Yeah,
it was
and
Nico. They went
what-
to court, paid court
Right.
costs, and won for Nico and that NIL deal.
And wasn't part of the issue with the NCAA was they sent the private plane to get him to bring him to Tennessee, right?
It was,
and
it was one of the things.
Right.
But that was the only rule we had in the NIL. Remember, you can't use it to induce. Everybody was
players.
doing it. but you can't
Everybody
use
was doing it, yeah.
You can't use it to induce players
Yeah.
to campus.
You can't promise a kid if you come here, you got $8 million of NIL. You're supposed to negotiate it after they commit. Yeah, right.
yeah,
that,
right.
Yeah, that
Well,
was a
it-
realistic belief you were going to do that.
If you're throwing it out there and you're trying to negotiate before the Ohio State game, you sure as hell don't really press down after the game.
No.
I mean, just to remind people, they lost by 25. Nico was 14 of 31, 104 yards, no touchdowns.
Wouldn't
Yeah.
you think? Wouldn't you think if there were in fact a holdout or a threat of a holdout, if there was in fact a threat of a holdout, that's when Heupel's camp gets to go back and say, "See,
Yeah. No, at that point, I was like, okay, here's our
Yeah. Yeah.
renegotiated contract.
Yeah.
We're going to pay you now $1 million a year.
Yep.
Wait, it was 2.2. Did you just see yourself?
yeah, no."
Did you just see yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I was freezing my butt off on the sidelines watching that. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
Mr. Agent, Mr. Iamaleava, Mr. Whoever.
Listen, Tennessee fans, hats off, man. Rally behind Josh Heupel. I love foot in the ground right here, line in the sand, whatever you want to say. Here's Josh Heupel after the spring game on Saturday talking about moving on from his QB1.
I'm sure I'm going to get asked about this here in a second, so I'll address it on the front end. Today's landscape of college football is different than what it has been. It's unfortunate, just the situation and where we're at with Nico. I want to thank him for everything that he's done since he's gotten here. That's as a recruit to who he was as a player and how he competed inside of the building. And so a great appreciation for that side of it. Obviously, we're moving forward as a program without him. I said it to the guys today. There's no one that's bigger than the Power T, and that includes me. And they hear me say that a lot inside of that team room. This program has been around for a long time with a lot of great coaches, a lot of great players that came before that laid the cornerstone pieces, the legacy, the tradition that is Tennessee football. It's going to be around a long time after I'm done and after they're gone. And that's what's special about being here.
Now, I will agree with Matthew. Tennessee bears some of the blame in this. Matthew says this in the chat room. I mean, they are the ones that did what you were talking about, like cave to all this guy's demands coming out
You're
of high
right.
school.
They created the animal.
They created the animal here, the monster, whatever whatever analogy you want to use there. And then, when it came time to another analogy, pay the piper, they were like, "We're out." But you're the one that created the situation. Now, look, they weren't going to be alone in that, Lance. I think there were a lot of schools that would have jumped in and created that same
I
situation.
got to ask this, though, because it's a hypothetical. But if this is Arch Manning, there's no way Tennessee does this.
Oh, if this were...
I'm talking about if Arch Manning was in Nico's spot, if he would have played last
Do
year.
you mean because he's better than Nico or because of the name? Or
The name.
What? The name?
Yeah.
I just don't think it would have happened.
Well, I mean, let's do this. Who is the best quarterback coming back this year that you know
In
is-
the SEC?
in college football that you know is the best quarterback coming back?
Wow, that's a really difficult question.
Well, who is the best quarterback last year?
Last year,
Yeah.
some would say Cam Ward. Some would say...
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
probably say Cam Ward.
Okay,
Yeah.
let's say Cam Ward, whoever the best quarterback is. That is you've got the best quarterback.
Okay.
And now he's coming back, but you've got a deal in place for 4 years, and he's being paid $2 million, and now that's the normal starting quarterback in the portal price, and he comes back to you and says, "Hey, I want 4." If the quarterback's good enough, you're going to give him 4.
Yeah. And I think that's what it came down to,
And that's
right?
what it came down to. This guy wants more than he's worth, and I'll ask the question right now. Do we think Nico already has a place?
Yes.
A lot of people think USC.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the
So
general belief is that it's going to be USC.
he's already got a place.
In all likelihood.
Texas Tech, people around Texas Tech are saying it's not us. because they've been spending money.
Well, they got
out
a
of the
pretty good
wazoo.
quarterback.
Yeah, but they're saying it's not
Yeah.
us. We're
Yeah.
not in on the Nico game. So that was the first place everybody went. They were like,
The $4 billion guy
hey,
that started
is
the NIL,
it Texas
right?
Tech? Because they're overpaying
Yeah.
for everybody
Yeah.
right now. And they're like, nope, not us. Not us. And USC, he's from out that way. And, they're in need of a quarterback maybe. So
And look, and Lincoln Riley gets generally the best out of quarterbacks, so
Yeah.
he'll probably go improve under
Jaden
Lincoln Riley.
Maeva was good. He was a former UNLV quarterback, but Miller Moss was a downgrade. I think Maeva's probably right there with Miller Moss. They've got to get that position better.
If it's, would you?
go ahead and work on that USC T-shirt in the garnet and gold. We've
Nico's-
got all the Iavas.
All the what?
The
Iavas,
Iavas
yes.
and
Iamaleava.
Yeah, Nico would be an upgrade.
Would you have a difficult time pulling for him?
Nope.
Okay.
I will.
It's very,
Well,
it's
you will,
Lance
but
is very mercenary.
I got to say this: I know Heupel after the Hendon Hooker year, the first year they beat Alabama in 150 years, whatever it was. He nearly doubled his salary in the offseason. I don't know if he got a contract extension this offseason, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Probably so. Yeah.
But going back to, well, damn, he got an extension off getting beat by 25. Still the kind of same thing with Nico. And how much of this is to blame on Nico?
Well, we don't know the full story. This always gets blamed on people around the quarterback. Fathers, uncles, agents, fill in the blank, whoever it is. That's what this always gets blamed on.
Coach Nick, remember, is his dad who has started
He was very vocal.
I think he has started a one of those programs where you help athletes maximize their value, which is, there needs to be some help out there for some of these families to sort of help them navigate these NIL waters. So I admire him for doing that.
What did y'all hear about Quinshon Judkins when he was playing at Ole Miss?
There was a buzz out there that he, too, at one point may have gone back and renegotiated in the middle of a season.
Yeah, that was always the working theory of the anonymous player that tried to hold out of a big game in season.
Yeah.
The working theory was always.
Well, my point
Quinshon
there was
Judkins.
going to be, I think Ohio State fans found a way to pull for him this year, right?
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah. National championship will do that.
Yeah.
And
for
he
you.
found a place willing to pay the price that they wanted. And that is part of the market. Here,
Unfortunately, if this thing plays out right for Nico and he gets a great landing spot and ends up having a better season, then all these athletes are going to be like, look, little bit of a PR bump in the road, but there's no reason not to do it moving forward.
When was it apparent to you that you would be moving forward?
Friday morning, when he's a no-show, you come off the practice field and there's no communication.
Yeah, it sounds like there probably was some sort of agreed upon, well, maybe not agreed upon, but a deadline like, listen, we're going to have this wrapped up by Friday or I'm not showing. Or from Heupel's side,
Yeah, you don't show.
you don't show. We got a spring game Saturday. You're either there or you're not part of the team. One of the two. So there was probably some sort of deadline.
I am shocked it went down this quickly.
Yeah.
Shocked.
But my question on Heupel was going to be, I don't know where. Where would you guys, before all of this happened, where would you perceive his approval rating among Tennessee fans?
I would have put it as a high B, low A.
I was going to go in the 90s.
So you go.
I don't know how it couldn't be. He's
Yeah.
beaten Alabama 2 of the last 3 years.
3
he went
years
to a college
he's
football
beaten Alabama.
playoff.
College football playoff now. They got destroyed in that college football playoff. But I would still think he was probably.
I was 88 to 92.
Okay.
so-
I mean, to me, this is the best spot Tennessee football's been in since Phil Fulmer in the 90s.
Agreed
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
But don't you think that it's
100.
almost 100 right now?
Almost
I mean,
100.
he used this situation to make it 100% because
Yeah.
every Tennessee fan's like, hell yeah, that power
Well,
T.
and if it was one of those approval ratings 50-50, there'd be some pissed off Tennessee fans probably. I can't believe you let our quarterback walk without a good backup there. I think people distrust his offense.
I think so, but and he gets to stand in front of that and say nobody's bigger than the power T,
which is true.
which your actions say is true. I mean, whether it's true or not, if you let a quarterback walk because he's shaking you down for more money, your actions say you think nobody's bigger than the power T.
Now, of course, that's what made me think of Arch Manning. If Arch Manning would have signed with Tennessee, I think Manning, that name is not bigger, but I don't think it would go down like this.
Jake Merklinger, the third-string quarterback last year, also is there. It's only a one-year temporary patchwork for them because they have, in 2026 coming in, the number one overall player who's a quarterback in Faison Brandon, who picked Tennessee. So the future quarterback is coming in 2026, so they got to get through 1 year. Do you think they find their starting quarterback in the portal, which opens on Wednesday, or will it be the McIntyre-Merlinger show?
Look, I know this is all rah-rah behind Heupel. Heupel's got some targets. I mean, Heupel knows that there would be a quarterback in the portal, or you could convince somebody to get into the portal that would love to play in this system.
Yeah.
I don't think he's flying blind at all.
Well, if in fact there was even a hint of a holdout, whether it materialized or not, a threat or anything materialized. If there was a hint of a holdout going to the Ohio State game, Heupel and staff are like, this could be a problem in spring. We need to make
it's
sure.
all hands on deck. Everybody be checking out this portal.
That's
get
right.
on the phones.
We may need it.
Yeah, we need to know that we've got a quarterback.
By rule, though, it can't be SEC to SEC. Like, Nico cannot go to an SEC school and not have to sit out a year.
By rule, though, I talked to somebody this morning that said they talked to somebody at CAA, and they said, hey, if Nico was my guy and he wanted to go in conference and the SEC tried to tell me he couldn't, we'd sue the hell out of the SEC.
I mean, he can go in conference, but he just can't be eligible. And I don't know. I mean, that would be that'd be fascinating if they did that.
Well, that's going to happen sooner or
at
later.
some point it will, yeah.
And this could be the case. Who knows?
Well, it's the SEC is a membership, and the 16 teams agree to that. So you've agreed to the membership.
I'm just saying somebody will challenge it.
Oh, it'll get challenged at some point. I'm with Dunaway, but the NCAA is in a membership, and you agree to the membership.
Yeah.
And
Things change.
Stuff gets sued and beat down all the time.
I mean, Augusta National watching. I mean, how different have their membership rules changed over the last decade?
Right.
But
Get
I
a
would
little
say,
pressure.
I would say this, though. I think being a member of the SEC, you wouldn't go get Nico at that point. You know what I mean?
Do you think there's gentlemen's agreement?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I see what you're saying.
I think you agreed. I mean, like Greg Sankey in the SEC office has prevented players and coaches from coming into the league because of past things. They're like, no, you cannot sign them.
Yeah, but you hire other people's coaches from in the program.
Yeah,
I mean, ask Texas A&M and Texas what went down with the Sloss guy.
Schlossnagel.